one spider to another, we've got a we've got a
Nice transition.
somewhat a confirmation that Tom Holland's Spider-Man 4 is pretty much happening,
Mhm.
and Zendaya will be reprising her role as MJ
Mhm.
as well. Obviously, there's no release date yet because it's been delayed due to the writer's strike.
Yeah.
But it's going to happen whether it's 2025, 26, or 27. What are your thoughts on this, and what would you like to see the story go? What
Well,
direction?
interesting. I think we all knew they were gonna do Spider-Man 4.
Especially the way the last one ended.
Yeah, we heard about we heard rumblings or that Sony may want to pull out now because you got a $1.9 billion movie here that never released in China.
Yes.
Yeah, it would have done like at least 2.3, 2.4 billion total for a Spider-Man movie. Sony could have just pulled out and be like, okay, Marvel, we're done. Hope you've had a good time using our character. We're gonna, use Tom Holland, Andrew Garfield, and Tobey Maguire in our own movies now. And hey, we'll put in all these live action Miles Morales. They could do that. So it's very surprising that they're working on Spider-Man 4. And I guess they could still, because I heard it from Amy Pascal, who is the head of Sony. She's the one that said these words. Obviously, Tom Holland confirmed them. But it could still be a Sony exclusive property. I doubt they'll do that though. Just because I feel like Spider-Man is going to be one of the core Avengers moving forward in this next saga.
Mm-hmm.
But the direction that I want this movie to go, I don't know. I so many mixed thoughts on this one. I don't want Zendaya a part of it. I think I think we spoke about this very recently, and I said the same thing. Spider-Man is a character that has tragedy in his life and needs to figure out how to move on from that. He takes losses. Spider-Man is a sacrifice. It was a big message in Across the Spider-Verse, and it was a part of No Way Home as well. He sacrificed no one knowing him. Aunt May died, but Zendaya's character MJ and Ned, not knowing him, his two closest people that he has left now, not knowing him. He sacrificed that for the betterment of, a large portion of people. And, if they're a part of the next one, it kind of just, it doesn't make, it feels that sacrifice has no emotional weight to it anymore because he's just reconciliated with them and just told them everything. And sure, you could say like, oh, he said he was going to go back and tell them, but he did go back to tell them, and then he saw that they were happier and that they're content and they're living, or whatever you want to call it.
And safe.
Yeah, and safe, yeah. And he just, he smiled, and it was a bittersweet ending, and he's like, yeah, my life is Spider-Man. I need to be that person, and, it requires sacrifice, and I think they should commit to that. But I think Spider-Man needs a new, not identity, but he needs to carve a new path forward, meeting new people, heading off to college, university, and just seeing more of the struggle of the balance that you need, especially as more of an adult version. I think all of us in our lives, we struggle a lot with, balancing everything that needs to be balanced, work, relationships, all that kind of stuff. You add in the superhero side of things. It would be very interesting to see Tom Holland's Peter Parker take on that. So to see Zendaya part of it kind of does let me down a little. It could work, but I would much rather have seen this Peter, at least for the start of the fourth movie, just be saddened by what happened and trying to move on and move forward in his life. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Spider-Man always needs a love interest because that's inaugural to his story. So I think he mentioned it the other day that we could just have Gwen Stacy and as that love interest and him pursuing her and building up a relationship with that. But I think they've already spent 3 films building this sort of relationship up with MJ that they can't just really drop it, you know? Like Zendaya has to be in it in some sort of capacity because you can't have a Tom Holland Spider-Man film without, you know, the love interest that he's been trying to get for the past 3 films.
He had it though.
He did, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, she could just be named as a cameo. So it'll just be like in a passing thing, like,
That's
you know,
true.
bumping shoulders in college or
Yeah.
something like that. And then he actually does end up going the Gwen Stacy route. But yeah, I think you are right. I think he does need to move on from Ned and all those characters, Flash as well, Zendaya's MJ,
Yeah.
and just start becoming the adult Peter Parker, you know, finding the job at the Daily Bugle and
Yeah.
working at that.
Yeah.
And obviously finding a relationship with Gwen Stacy as well.
Yeah. Look, I'll say this, and I just thought about it now. The way that this can work for Zendaya to come back as MJ is you mentioned before that he saw that they were safe. He reconciles with her, explains everything. She has visions or understands it or whatever. They're back together. By the end of it, she dies. It's not funny. It's not funny. It's not meant to be funny. But that would be so devastating for the character of Spider-Man, and he would learn a massive lesson. That's how it can work, because he would suffer the consequences of his actions.
I think so too,
Yeah.
because he's lost his uncle, he's lost his aunt, he's lost his mentor,
Yeah,
and now he's lost his love interest.
he would get her killed.
Yeah.
Yeah, sort of like the Gwen Stacy of the MCU.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know at what point you're putting the character through too much.
I just fucking throw everything at him, push him to his limits.
I mean, they did that in No Way Home. I don't know how it's going to go, because, you know, No Way Home kind of wrapped up the trilogy aspect of it.
Yeah.
It depends if they're going to form a new trilogy. If it's just Spider-Man 4 and that's it, they can go any direction they want. But if they say, you know, we're doing, you know, one last trilogy of Sony MCU Spider-Man, then it would need to like be like a full kind of you know, storyline for that character rather than just, you know, movie by movie. So, you know, it'd have to have.
It'll need to be planned out properly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, that's enough Spider-Man talk for this podcast. Now we'll move
It's
on.
never enough Spider-Man talk.